Hi, I'm Chris Bradshaw. I'm based in the UK, and I've been an IT pro in higher education for over 15 years now. I've been keeping the lights on, innovating and dreaming of IT rock stardom. Outside of work, you can catch me on Twitter at @aldershotchris. My blog, it should just work, is www.isjw.uk. I'm one of the founding contributors in the Open Home Lab project, so if you haven't checked that out, I definitely recommend it. And the rest of the time you can find me hanging around at the back at the London VMworld meetings. So anyway, I'll start by setting the scene. Higher education in the UK has approximately 17,000 IT professionals spread across 160 universities, the length and breadth of the country. There's some really amazing stuff going on, some research and teaching, and there's opportunities to work with some really awesome people and some kit in a wide variety of disciplines. How many IT departments out there support racing teams, particle accelerators, gene sequencers, wind tunnels, dance studios, human drug trials, silver service restaurants, sports centres and farms, plus residential customers, Nobel Prize winners, rocket scientists and brain surgeons, all in the day-to-day. You can be working with somebody who can tell you in depth how your virtualisation stack is working down to the circuitry. And in the next room, there'll be someone who can do the same for your body. Dealing with the cutting edge can be challenging though. For example, in most environments, the team who look after your wireless LAN don't have to put up with the people in the next office playing around with next generation wireless technology. And as well as the cutting edge, there's also IT supporting the more generic activities you see in any large enterprise. We still need a projector in the boardroom, a website for marketing, EPOS in the coffee shop, the payroll system, very important that one, and so on. So, on to the challenges. Probably the most obvious one for anyone dropped into an HE environment is the age range in supported equipment. There's plenty of the latest and greatest out there. If you go to the Solutions Exchange next door, I'm sure you'd see each of those suppliers having a product in at least one university. But there's also a lot of older systems to keep running. Some may call this kit legacy. Others prefer to think of them as mature systems in their golden years. Either way, there's a plethora of kit that's past its best before date that has to be kept running. These are often one-time funded but keep on forever services. Thankfully, virtualisation helps us out here. Virtual servers allow us to keep old operating systems running when the hardware they rely on dies. And technologies such as NSX's microsegmentation allow us to secure some of these older workloads and stop them affecting the rest of our environment. Headcount. In higher education, the full-time employee headcount is much, much smaller than the student numbers. UK universities have about 400,000 staff and 2.2 million students. We have a high turnover of users compared to a normal corporate environment. As well as your regular comings and goings of employees, we also lose a quarter of our headcount every year as students graduate. And I'd encourage any software vendors out there to think about this when pitching at a university. We often see licensing cost problems where licenses are measured on the head count rather than the employee count, or licenses are to named users, and that really causes a problem in a student PC lab environment. One of the more bizarre things that a newcomer to higher education might see is the issue of ownership. Often a researcher can leave to join another institution, and any in-progress research grants go with them. And this can mean that the hardware and data associated with that grant can leave as well. On the flip side, unexpected computers and data, often in large amounts, can arrive with new starters unexpectedly. Imagine in a more traditional corporate setting, a developer or salesperson leaving and not only taking their company MacBook with them, but also their data and code and customer data, everything they've been working on. It's an unusual situation and one that IT departments in higher education need to deal with on a regular basis. We also need to ensure that we have sufficient storage capacity in case this large amount of data turns up. We need to ensure that software licenses not associated with these portable grants are maintained and kept by the organisation. VDI and application virtualisation are quite good techniques there. And we need to keep track of our physical assets. A rigorous asset management system and process is really the only way forwards for that. So staff arriving with their computers from a previous employer is only part of the bring your own device story. BYOD is and always has been the norm in universities for both students and staff. Thousands of students arrive each year with their own devices, coupled with staff with personal budgets often choosing what devices they want themselves. I've joked before that we were doing BYOD before we even knew it was a term. But BYOD is not just for these personal devices, it extends to the server environment as well. Staff and research students running servers under their desks, the under-desk data centre, can be commonplace. Add to this the bring your own storage problem that everybody sees with the now commonplace large USB storage devices, and IT has a real challenge on its hand to provide security and resilience that the institution, the business, requires. So what can we do? Well, for the personal devices, VDI and app virtualisation again can help us deliver and maintain the software that the users require. We can offer P2V for these under-desk data centres. It's quite easy to show the benefits a proper server environment can do to provide resilience and scaling, not possible with the foot-warming deployment. There's a lot of software used in higher education, and a lot of it presents a challenge to deploy and manage in the enterprise environment. IT are dealing with thousands of devices, but the researcher in question just wants to install the software and get on with their job. It's a common story, and the other end of the whole BYOD piece. In higher ed and research in general, we find lots of little applications that are out there that another researcher popped on the web, possibly back in 1994. Our researchers want to use them, so download them and expect everything just to work. Only a week ago, someone came into our office and asked for a Windows NT machine. But accompanying the download file that we got from the internet, there may be no installation instructions at all. Or instructions that remind you of the cover of Led Zeppelin's Houses of the Holy. There's so many steps in them. When you're writing a manual, please don't presume that just because someone has a Nobel Prize in quantum chemistry, they understand editing the Windows registry. I also see a lot of scientific applications just not designed to work in an enterprise environment. We try and live in a world where users don't share a login, or perhaps don't have full administrator rights on their machine. And it's not just the freeware downloads that fall foul of this. Expensive commercial applications also come in that way. So, what can we do here? Application virtualization again, through ThinApp, ZenApp, AppV, Application Jukebox and so on, help us keep some of these older apps running on a new OS. And also minimises the number of times we have to go through that laborious installation process. User environment management plugs in here too, letting users escalate permissions without blanket issuing of admin rights across the estate. So, to summarise, the big difference in a university environment to a traditional corporate one is the great variety of disciplines and activities, almost all of which require some form of IT. This brings with it many common challenges, and some unique to the sector. Thankfully, modern technology, in particular virtualisation, is helping us IT pros rise to those challenges. I hope that's been a quick insight into some of the challenges faced by an IT department in higher education. Thank you to the vBrownbag guys for this opportunity, and there's some details on contacting me there. Thank you.